Hi everyone, let's talk character design. My name is Chio, and for nearly 3 years I was a facecam streamer. The VTuber world was pretty much entirely new to me this year. I was never really interested in it at first. I didn't really understand it one bit, and I didn't really know a single person. I knew one friend who had turned to a VTuber, but that was kind of it. I'd heard a little bit about Iron Mouse briefly, but I think that's where it stopped. But in February 2025, I was gifted the customizable Suika model as an early birthday gift by a dear friend, as I've been raving about how pretty it looked. I'd been thinking about coming back to streaming, and I thought that maybe I could be a facecam streamer and a VTuber. That didn't really go as intended though. Instead, I kind of fell in love with the creative process and outlet of creating a VTuber persona. I've been roleplaying, creating characters, writing backstories and fanfics, and even original stories pretty much since I was like 10 years old. And this was one of the most lovely opportunity to do all of that again, but this time there was a little bit of a new challenge, because this time I was creating me. Many who find my beginner tips for streamers ask me how to come up with a character design, and how I came up with mine. So I'd love to break it down as much as I can remember about my process. Your design is very much a personal preference thing, and I personally am not too big of a fan of too detailed character designs, at least for myself. I prefer simplicity in a lot of aspects of life. You can tell my design is quite simple, as you can see by my reference sheet over here, but it didn't always start that easy. A lot of the time, even the simple designs can take a long time to come up with, so let's get into it. The absolute first thing I did was thinking about what I wanted to be. I have a cat I love, but I knew I didn't want to be a cat VTuber quite fast because the ears didn't really have the softness that I wanted. I knew I wanted rounded ears that were kind of part of the hair a little bit rather than sticking out from the hair or from the head. But instead of choosing something at random, I tried really hard to find something that I have a little bit of a personal connection to. So I dug through the memory bank. And when I was a kid, we went on a school trip where there was a taxidermy museum of winter animals, since it was winter. We were asked to pick one animal that we liked to write a little essay about, and I chose the adorable white winter coat ermine. In our friendship group, I was called Miss Halmelin, which is the Swedish word for ermine. We also had a Mr. Dormouse and a Mr. Owl. It was very sweet. It's a cute memory for sure. In Swedish, it's called Halmelin, but a quick Google let me actually know that it's called ermine in English, and I didn't really like the sound of it as an ermine. I was thinking Chio the Ermine VTuber. It didn't really click the way that I wanted to. So I looked at the family. I looked at otters, I looked at stoats, at weasels, pine martens, and ferrets. In the end, the softer ear that I wanted suited a ferret. And funnily enough, ferret is called iller in Swedish, which I don't really like the name of, which is kind of in reverse. It's kind of fun. An old friend of mine also had ferrets, and they were just the cutest, most crazy little noodles ever. I adored them, and had at least a little bit of a connection to them. So the decision was made. I was gonna be a ferret VTuber. With that decided, it was time to start with the rest. Hair was honestly quite easy compared to everything else. I have two-tone hair. All of my underhair and top hair are different colors, and I really wanted that in the design. So I started playing around with color combinations. I was thinking nature and tried to stay with colors that felt pretty warm, but I didn't really like how it seemed to be so little. So I experimented with both symmetrical and asymmetrical green bits in the fringe by testing it out on the Suika model. I settled on the design you see before you, and I'm quite happy with the result. I made it long and messy, but in a playful kind of way to bring more life into the design. She's a ferret, so I wanted her to look playful and energetic, all those good things that you associate with a little chaos noodle. Sadly, the more messy part is really hard to translate in a customizable design, but I've done my very best, and I'm now using a bunch of different hairstyles while my custom model is in the oven. Then of course we have clothing. That's quite an important one. I wanted something comfortable, but adventurous, but also something that expressed both mine and her energy. I'm a huge fan of Lara Croft, of Brendan Fraser and The Mummy, Indiana Jones, that type of really adventurous stuff. I thought a lot about Lara Croft's shorts and tank top, and I tried to think what I'd personally be comfortable with wearing. I was in between longer pants and shorts at first, but I thought that would be a little bit too much dark for what I wanted, and shorts also fit the more agile version of the character that I had in mind. I also debated between suspenders and belt for quite a while, but I went with belt in the end, as I was thinking a chunky belt buckle would be super cute. Tank top and belted shorts is pretty much a very regular summer outfit for me, so it wasn't hard to convince, well, myself. The cardigan was a default thing as well, because I wear quite a lot of them myself, and they're very comfortable. At first though, the cardigan was entirely green, which was honestly so much green, especially since my temporary measure of making the legs less boring resulted in 2 thigh highs that were green too. So I took the light tank top color, slapped it on one leg, changed the texture too for good measure because the flat kind of made it a little bit too dull, and it helped balance it out quite a lot. I'm very happy with it. And funny note is that I actually went with plaid first. I'm quite happy I didn't stick with it though. The boots as well were quite easy. I love chunky boots, platform shoes, love them so much, so I knew there had to be boots. But I made mine brown instead of the combat boots that are usually black. So now I had a green, a beige, and a brown design with a lot of green. One fashion or outfit rule that I think of quite a lot is if it's not interesting in shape, it needs to be interesting in color or texture. My design is quite simple, so I knew I needed to use bright contrast and complementing colors to make it a little bit more appealing to the eye. I thought about what colors I liked, which honestly was just loads of green. Can you tell? So I checked out palettes on Pinterest and I knew that I wanted something bright, something energetic, but quite soft. Nature is represented by the green and the brown, and then I played around with blues and purples, which instantly kind of made the design feel a little bit too cold for my taste. So in contrast, I tried orange, red, pink, and yellow. The yellow hems ended up creating a great separation between the green of the cardigan and the green of the sock, which instantly balanced out the visual weight of the design. But to balance out the sudden yellow, I tried adding golden clips to the hair and a yellow sole to the platform boot, and then suddenly everything was just sandwiched in, and it just made a really nice warm color altogether. The yellow sole was very much a let me try this weird idea and see thing, and boy am I happy that I did. The pink ribbon idea literally came from watching the Olympics, to be honest with you. Literally everything can be an inspiration when you're making a design. Gymnastics showed lovely ribbons flowing around which looked like they danced in the wind, which I thought was really fitting. The beige sock was a little bit boring on its own, as it added a paw on top of the other, so I figured I need something more interesting on it. So I played around with a ribbon tie, which ended up looking absolutely the best when it came up from beneath the shoe. The little dashes of pink and yellow made for what I think is quite a lovely design, and thankfully a lot of mutuals and artists I've worked with thought the very same. Now for one of my favorite parts, the lore. I'm mentioning this last because I really do think that it's optional, but sometimes it can help you so very much. Parts of the design for her were inspired by the lore that I came up as I was designing her, and pretty much the other way around as well, but it did help me, and it might help you too. I wanted her to be lucky as all hell. Think winning the jackpot all the time type of lucky. I wanted to implement things that I'm excited about. Travels, archaeology, discovery, wonder, knowledge, matcha, coffee, magic too. She's all of this wrapped in a little small package. I wanted her to have something magical on her, which was quite an interesting process to come up with. At first I thought of the ribbon on her shorts to hold an amulet where my mascot would come out of, but the idea quickly turned into a necklace amulet because I wanted something golden around her neck as well. As it kind of needed to also be a symbol of luck, a discussion with a friend landed us at a coin flip. Instead of a 50-50 chance, the coin simply always decides to bless her with a win. Her incredible luck means that no matter what the coin flip lands on, it will always be the right choice for her. So whenever a decision needs to be made or a path needs to be followed, she flips the coin and she simply follows the coin. In order to create a connection with her quiet little companion, Chio and Peanut actually wear matching coins. The paw print is simply to make it just cuter, I think. The lore has an open ending to match very well with my streaming too. She doesn't remember where Peanut or the coin comes from, and as a spirit that's 254 years old, she's been around for quite some time, so I don't blame her. But it's also what triggers her journey, and where my variety gaming comes into play. A lot of people say that your design is what people first notice about you, and a lot of details and complicated design can often stand out easier. But if that's not your vibe, try to stay with what you prefer and feel more comfortable with, because what they stay for in the end will be you. In my experience, it's near impossible to have an entirely unique design today. When I finished designing Chio, I had only just dipped my foot into the VTuber world. It didn't take long, maybe 2, maybe 3 pieces of art in, before someone I've never heard or seen of before reached out wondering if I've copied them. Thankfully, they were very kind about it though. My fluffy hair won't be very unique. My cute rounded ears probably won't be either, but maybe my colorful and soft design, together with who I am as a person, will be. Her design, both origin and process, has been an incredibly enjoyable and personal journey, and I'm choosing to embrace that. I don't want to be anyone other than who I am. I know that there are a lot of vibes, a lot of color combinations, hairstyles, clothing styles, etc. that are simply popular concepts. I've had my own worries, so I made a post about it on Twitter a while ago, talking openly about my worries, and I heard so many lovely opinions and perspectives where all encouraged me to stay true to myself and what I've created. This is not to say to blatantly copy someone, that's definitely not okay, but more to emphasize that regardless of your design, I'm quite convinced that someone out there will compare you to someone else, even though you don't even look a bit alike, sadly. But people who love what you do will love you and your character design, and stick around for who you are. Like one brilliant commenter said, I've never once stuck around only for a pretty design, but for the person behind it. I hope you'll enjoy designing and continue your designing and creative process in the future, and have a lovely time doing so. If you'd like to find me elsewhere, I'm live on Twitch 4 times a week. I post frequently on Twitter, and I post short form content here on YouTube, but also on Insta and TikTok. I hope you'll have a great day. All my best.